vertical spread. That is a simple vertical spread where you're purchasing one call and selling another. We can do the same thing on the put side. We can also buy a vertical spread on the put side. So instead of calls, if we believe that the market is in the stock is going down, if we believe the stock is going down, we can purchase one put at a higher strike price, sell a put at a lower strike price. In this case, it's the 80-75, and we call this a bearish vertical spread because we're buying puts and we want to profit when the stock goes down. In this case, the debit is $2.85, which gives us a profit of $2.15, which is the difference between the strike prices, which is $5 minus the $2.85 that we paid for the vertical spread, and it gives us a profit of $2.15 if the stock moves down below 75 or below on expiration. So if we go ahead and bring up the dialog box here for the order confirmation, you can see that the maximum profit is $2.15. Maximum loss is exactly what we paid for the spread, $2.85. And the cost of everything is $288. So whether you're buying calls or you're buying puts, this is the basic vertical spread is the basis for almost all of the trades that we put on. Almost all of them. In fact, is the basis for the calendar. It's the basis for the iron condor. It's the basis for the double calendar. It's a basis for double diagonals. It's the basis for the sale of vertical spreads. So you see that we can profit from a vertical spread when we are buying a lower on the call side, if we're buying the lower strike price and we're selling the higher strike price. But we can also do the reverse. Let's say, for example, we're interested in profiting in a different way and we're interested in collecting premium on this particular option. If we were to sell a vertical spread, that we would profit when prices moved in the opposite direction. Let me just give you an example of how you would enter that order. So the sale of a vertical spread involves the sale of an option and the purchase of an option, just like a regular vertical spread. The only difference is, instead of buying one at a lower strike price if we're doing calls and selling one at a higher strike price, we reverse the process and we sell one at a higher strike price, at the lower strike price, and buy the one at the higher strike price. So instead of going to buy vertical, as we would on a normal vertical spread, we actually go to sell vertical. And in this case, what happens is we receive a credit of $2.15. And because this is a $5 wide strike, and we're receiving a $2.15 credit, then what is the maximum loss on this position? Well, the maximum gain is the $2.15 credit that we received when we put this position on. The maximum loss is the difference between the $5 strike and the $2.15 credit that we will receive, which is $2.85. So the maximum loss is $2.85. The maximum gain is $2.15. And if we bring up the confirmation dialog box, you can see that they have the exact same numbers. The maximum profit is $2.15, or $215, and the maximum loss is $285, which is the difference between the strike prices minus the credit we receive. And so we would receive a credit. You can see that it's a credit of $215 minus the $3 in commissions that we pay for a net credit of $212. What is the difference then? I mean, why would you do this rather than just buying the vertical spread as we had in our previous discussion? Well, in this case, the stock has to move up in order for us to profit. If the stock stayed exactly the same at $75.20, then the stock, then we would lose value in this option. These options would both lose value. How do we know that? Well, if we look over to the left here at extrinsic, the extrinsic value of the option is $3.75. In other words, there is no actual intrinsic value in this option. It's not in the money. It is at the money. This is considered an at the money option. Therefore, the price that you're paying for this option is all time value. The time value of an option is the amount of value that that option has if it were to go to expiration and the price remained at $75, there would be no value at all to this option, right? Because what we're doing is we're saying, okay, if a single contract, this is a very, very important concept to understand. If a single contract gives you the right, now this is a call we're talking about, a single call contract gives you the right to purchase 100 shares of stock at the strike price of $75, or in other words, you have the right to buy 100 shares of stock at $75. And this went to expiration, which is the third week in June. Why would this option have any value at all to you? Because you could buy it at $75, but the price of the stock is $75. There's no benefit to you of owning this option if the stock is at $75. Now, if the stock is at $80 and you had the right to buy it at $75, then your option will be worth $5 at expiration, and everybody else has to pay $80 for that stock, but you could exercise what they call exercise the option and purchase the stock for $75, giving you an immediate $5 profit. That's the power of options. Options give you the right to buy the stock at a future date.